disclaimer, I'm not a lawyer really, and I'm not a vendor either really, I'm not an expert, so yeah, please, you can switch off your, all your technical minds if you like. It's going to be completely non-technical presentation really. So quick one is just to give you a bit of a brief in terms of what Bowden are. So I work for Bowden, it's only been 7 months now, it's not been too long. And you can see my face really, so yeah, there you go. But 350 million business, looking to kind of grow it to 1 billion in the next 6-7 years. We're famous for bright prints, and we're probably in 7 markets across the EU, US, Australia, and that's it probably, I suppose. There's three high street stores and many kind of concession stores in John Lewis and other places. The good thing about the role which I'm kind of looking at really is, which I'm doing really basically for the last 7 months now, it reports directly to the board. So I've got full access to the board, I've got full access to the chairman, the CEO, the chief exec, and the founder, all of them really if I need to. And I think that's the best thing about what the business decided actually to do for this particular role, because it really needs that support, the steer and all that things really. I think it really helps actually. On a monthly basis, I was doing about fortnightly basis actually until now, and it's gone to monthly, in fact, going this month. So I do monthly kind of reporting to the board in terms of where we stand today in the data privacy, data compliance, the GDPR and all that aspects really. And it's basically, I report them on the key statistics, where we stand in terms of subject access requests, the different subject rights, and of course what's changed from what we picked up last time really. So on the operational as well as the strategic aspects really, which means where we are heading towards now really, what the major implications are in terms of the data, the way we use it in the business, and where we're going from here in the next couple of years. So I get full access to the board in that respect. They get every month. And I get nearly in about an hour actually, which is quite lucky, I feel really. I don't think it's easy to get sort of an hour with the board generally, but they're quite kind of accommodating with that really. So DPO is basically data protection officer. It's not just one person. It has to have many faces across the business. So what I've learned is in the last couple of years, I've been doing similar roles in the different businesses. You have to have different faces across the business. You are possibly an advisor for the board. You are also an auditor for the board or probably for the business. You are a translator at the minimum, because you've got to translate all the different things across the business that happens to the board as well as to different people across the business. Plus, you are a project manager. You're looking at different things, where things are changing, what is actually happening, and it's got to be in the time really. And I think there's many more faces around it really. I've just not mentioned too many here really, but I think the key aspect of the role is you've got to understand your data. You've got to understand your people. You've got to understand what people do with that data itself. And that's the key challenge in the role itself. Because a lot of people actually do a lot of things with the data and they just don't tell you about it. And that's where you've got to go and kind of make some good friends inside your business. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about how to make friends in the business. So yeah, okay. So I think my 17-hour days start with no coffee or no tea at all. It just starts with lemon water. And some catching up with the emails, because we are 24/7, not exactly 24/7, but we are nearly sort of round the clock, because we got a call center in the US, we got a call center in the UK, which runs until 10 o'clock in the night. So I get emails all the time. So first thing I do is in the morning, as usual, I think probably like anybody else, check the emails, what the challenges are for the day, get on the road at 4:30. I'm in London at 7:30-ish. So on the road, I basically catch up with all the news of what is happening with the Brexit. Most interesting news, I suppose, really, for everyone these days. So LBC and InfoSec podcast, because I come from a background of InfoSec rather than purely, the lawyer. I'm not a lawyer, as I mentioned before, really. So I do listen to a lot of the InfoSec stuff, and I'm not a legal person, so I do listen to a lot of legal things as well, actually, just to keep myself, a bit of in news on that, really. Generally, I like to start my day like this, but it never starts like this. Unfortunately, it starts always like this, which is not the best thing to start your day with at 7 a.m. in the morning. Generally, nobody's in the office when I get there, but I still have to get there like this. So anyways, from the morning, the first thing I do is get onto my things of understanding where the gaps are from all the feedback that I have received from the different call centers. So the call centers basically are the customer services. Customer services give me a feedback in terms of what the complaints have been over the day in the last 24 hours or the last 8 hours that I missed. Probably not sleeping 8 hours, probably 6 hours of sleeping. But yeah, whatever I've missed really, so they give me a feedback in terms of where things are, what has been challenged, what complaints have come in place for data protection, all this stuff, really. I call it feedback, actually. I don't like to call it complaints, but it's just a similar thing, really, isn't it? So anyway, so I think the main thing is get a feedback from the customer service in terms of where we stand today for the different issues that have come up identified by the customers. The good thing is, we've got about 1.2 million customers, so they keep us busy, basically. So they keep giving us feedback in terms of, where challenges are, what they feel is not right, in terms of, they don't like our marketing, they don't like our, ethical standards of sending them catalogs, because originally we're a mail order company. So if they don't like it, they just tell us, basically, like a complaint, basically. And I think where I stand with that is I look at where the challenge is in terms of the critical aspects of maybe policies they've complained about. Sometimes they're quite educated customers, to be honest. I think I would definitely say they ask me difficult questions. Sometimes even I find it difficult to answer them the questions, really. How do you make sure that you've done all your checks on the data suppliers? That's an interesting one. So yeah, we will look at different policies, understand where the gaps are in the policies, what we're doing wrong or what we're doing right, and then improve them on that, really. Try and look at, we listen to our customers, as I said. We listen to our customers very patiently, actually. So we got a good call centers across the business, trying to keep them happy, the 1.2 million customers. From morning 9 a.m., of course, as people start coming into the office, I start kind of going out, wandering around, meeting people to understand what everybody else is doing, rather than just me firefighting. So I thought I'd better just, start doing sitting down with the teams, really. So understanding what everybody else is doing, like IT, the HR, anybody needs changing, working on new projects, anything new is happening across the business for the data itself, what they're facing different challenges with, and try and basically encourage them more around the data protection by design and by default. So listen to them in terms of just listening to see what they have been doing or what they've been up to. They just become an agony aunt for them, basically, to listen to all their problems and stuff. So anyway, so I just kind of try and encourage that with the data protection by design, make sure that they understand what the challenges are with the, building a new product, a new kind of a website, or, a new promotion maybe by the marketing, anything of that sort, and try to give them kind of a guidance in terms of that. Listen to the challenges faced by the data champions. So I'm quite lonely, to be honest, in the office. Right? I'm the only person as the DPO. That's the problem, actually. So I've got a bit of a team. I've got to find the team, the support around the business to make sure they can help me guiding, around all the data protection challenges we have in the business. So what I've done is I've got about 5 customer service managers who help me looking at all the different complaints and stuff, not on a day-to-day basis, but probably it's on a rota basis. So we have got resources of 5 people, but it's dedicated to only 1 person in a week for that day, for that particular challenges. I've got about 2 in marketing, 2 in HR, and a couple of them in the casting teams. The reason I've got all these different champions across the business is they all work with the data. They all work with the personal data. So there is the customer data we have, firstly, which is why the customer service is quite crucial. The second we have is of course, that all lives generally in the marketing team. So I've got few people actually in the marketing looking at all the data that we use and the way we use it. So, and plus kind of building that awareness around the teams they work in. And, because they're kind of more on the eyes and the ears on the ground for me, really. So they basically look at, challenges around their own areas and then let me know, where things are wrong or where things are kind of going right or what they've been doing, basically. So a couple of people from the marketing, which is the customer data, living with the customer data, HR, which is, of course, the employee data. We've got 2,000 employees across the globe. And we have the casting teams as well. So we do have a lot of models. A lot of model data comes into play as well. So we've got children's data. We've got the adult model data. There's a lot of things really with that. So there's a good few challenges, to be honest. Then I think once I've gathered all the feedback and I've listened to all the people and being nice to them, then kind of start looking at what challenges we have for the day ongoing, which I need to really focus on. I think most of the challenges generally come from the customer services or marketing. They're the people who keep me really busy because they do a lot of aggressive stuff. They do a lot of aggressive marketing. That's what probably, I suppose. And I think that's where the challenges come around, really. So I work with the internal comms team mainly for, giving that guidance to the whole of the staff, because I want to make sure each and every one considers data protection as their responsibility on a day-to-day basis, really. We can't have just one person doing data protection or a team doing data protection. You've got to have the whole business ready for it, including the board as well, including all the staff, really. So it's all about making sure that there is an internal comms. You've got to have a close relationship with internal comms to make sure that message gets out every time. So I've got at least a monthly or sometimes every fortnightly a message going out about the data protection. Work with the IT, marketing, HR, and as I mentioned about the CS and the legal team. So I sit in, so strange enough, actually, I sit in basically in finance hood, we call it, and I sit next to the legal, which is a good thing. I like that. And I'm no more in IT, which is a good thing. I like that because I come from a background of IT, really. So I like to being in kind of close to the legal. I think that's where really it works. So I'm not, because I haven't got a background with legal, working with the legal on all the time, it really helps, really. I mean, we've got a legal in-house counsel, which is not specific for the data protection, but she's really, really good on data protection. That's a good thing. The second thing is I've got external resources. I've got external lawyers and external kind of agencies to help me with any legal major critical stuff that comes around really for me. I've got to review the contracts, of course, make sure the contracts are being reviewed, make sure that all the new DPIs that the teams have done, want to make sure that they are being correct, signed off as well really with that. Then I've got to basically, sometimes I've got to go back to the board for some steer around major issues, anything that's come up. We've done a lot of changes from the feedback which comes from the customers. So we've changed our processes at times. We've changed our policies at times. We listen to our customers so much that we do actually bring that changes in if we feel that there is a need for a change in the business. And I think that really helps, really. And the board has been really supportive as well, really. So that's a good thing. Probably about from midday or later midday, I think 1 p.m. to 4 p.m., I'm more looking at the fixing the challenges, whatever has been done, really. So maybe sometimes even replying directly to customers. Not all the customer services are capable to answer all the questions probably about data protection because they're not the privacy people by default, really. So I kind of mentor them, I train them, I guide them, I give them a lot of guidance around what need to be challenged, what need to be kind of replied. Generally, they fix all the things generally for me. But sometimes I do have to manage responses myself, really, so I do respond to customers directly as well many times. Streamline processes, as I mentioned, I do work on streamlining a lot of processes which I have felt like which haven't worked in the past, and there have been some challenges around processes. I spend about 15 minutes with new starters every Tuesday, and that's, I think, the really good thing because you want to start your privacy champions or privacy kind of the education right from the start when you're onboarding the people, really. So it really helps. I've got a couple of slides. Sometimes if I'm not around, the L&D is trained enough for taking over that particular aspect of training the new starters. From 4 to 9 p.m., basically, I basically leave office around 4 p.m. generally, and then I'm on the road about 2.5 hours back to home in Bath, really, which is a good place to be. But then again, I work, as soon as I get home, I see a lot of challenges coming around from the US because they work longer hours, they work different hours, they take calls from the UK as well many times. So there's a lot of challenges around that. We get a lot of things, I pick up basically a lot of things before I get into the bed at around 9 o'clock or 9:30, really. But then all the things that come around from the different teams come to me as a central place as of now. And I think that's going to be a little bit changing going forward because we're going to have some virtual teams, as I mentioned before. I'm building kind of the privacy champions across the business, make sure that they are prepped enough, they are mentored, they are trained, and they can answer all the queries by themselves rather than coming into me. But then I do try and pick up as much as I can, really. So, and I switch off at 9:30. That's all from me. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much indeed.